For the analysis and design assignment, I examined and redesigned the tests, surveys, and pools component of Blackboard. This tool allows for the creation of questions that can be graded. These would go into tests, not graded for surveys, or stored for later use into pools. Currently in Blackboard, tests and surveys essentially work the same way. You can set up multiple tests or surveys. Each test or survey is titled, has an area for notes, instructions, and a variety of types of questions can be added to the test or survey. Questions can be added within the system, pulled in from another source, such as another test or pools, or written elsewhere and uploaded to Blackboard. Tests and surveys sit dormant until they are deployed. Tests are deployed through the content page and are not deployable through the tests, surveys, and pools area. Also, tests cannot be previewed by the instructor while they are building the test. They must go into the content collection to preview them. So my first step was to create a sitemap of the system and use that as the basis for what pages I wanted to create and how I wanted them to relate to each other. My approach then with the design was to centralize the information and features, meaning that creating, editing, deploying, and previewing a test could all be done from one area. Also, instructors will be given access to the grading tool directly from this test page. From there, I designed wireframes for several of the pages that went into a PDF prototype. The wireframes use less text on the main pages, graphical icons, and easier access to help and support information. Since building questions is the main task of this system, I made that a link on the main page so instructors would have quicker access to that tool, reducing the amount of clicks to that central task. I also made other aesthetic tweaks throughout the site, the big one being that edit, preview, and deployment screens pop up in shadow boxes above the tests page. I then sought out informal feedback from 4 sources. 1. Chris, a website designer and creative director for a marketing firm. 2. Mike, a usability expert and former owner of a usability testing firm in Halifax, Nova Scotia. 3. Dr. Jeff James, a professor at FSU. 4. Kimberly, a senior at FSU. I recorded the feedback from everyone except for Kimberly. I received a lot of great feedback, but here are some of the highlights.
People that are used to Blackboard, there might be a little bit of confusion early on until they get with the program to realize now you're blending the options and the test edit.
Mike made a suggestion about the layout of my edit test page screen.
Number of questions per screen, student can go back, yes, no, time limit. Okay, I think all those things should be put after question lists. So again, going back to what's mandatory or what you know what I mean? Like if because I would question do I have to decide how many questions are per screen, or do we just default that? Do we default student can go back, and do we default time limit? If that's the case, that should all be put after my questions because my questions aren't default. You know what I mean? That's for sure something I'm going to edit every time. Mm-hmm. And so I would go down by mandatory fields, mark what's mandatory. You know what I mean? And if those things aren't, or if you just leave them what they are as default and people can do that, that's what they'll do because they'll be lazy, right? So, put the thing that I'm going to edit for sure up higher.
Dr. James gave great insight on how he uses Blackboard and how my stripping out text actually did not work for him in regards to the test building process.
So if I don't use names, would the actual questions themselves show up, or is this just populating from the names? So for me, the question, the list in itself is not going to do me any good because I don't name any of my questions. So I've got to see the questions because this other screen is what I need to see.
Yeah, I
need to see the questions.
Chris made a similar comment in regards to being able to remember the names given to tests.
When we're doing a lot of stuff with constant contact and stuff, I never know what I've made so many, and I'm like, I don't even remember. Did I call it test 2? What did I call it? So one thing I like to do is out to the right, you can throw in the creation date. So that sort of helps you, and that will give you another reason to filter by that or by title, by, whatever.
One final highlight, Mike gave me a comment about verbiage and a design suggestion for the question builder page.
So what I would say there is this says answers and then this says add choice. That's a little misleading, right?
Okay.
They're not calling them the same things. So, add choice. Is that something different? It should be answers, add another answer or something, you know what I mean? I just think, or, at your color coding stage, you want to group that stuff more together so it looks like they're together. I'm just not sure that those things go together when I get here.
While my design would still need more work and feedback, I believe it is a good start to an improvement in this system.